The idea is that this framework looks at 6 facets of research. We use the word facet like you do a jewel that has different sides that sparkle and shine. So it's saying that research across disciplines has 6 sides that work in many different contexts. So I'll just quickly review those. And what we've done in this framework is elaborated those 6 into 5 degrees of autonomy. That is, how much structure and guidance do students need to be engaging in research processes, from the highly prescribed closed-ended level 1, red, to the blue end, level 5, which is open-ended, student-determined, students initiate. So, in terms of the facets, basically the 6 facets in quick succession the students have to begin. They embark on their researching journey. They have to clarify exactly what they're after. They have to find relevant information from information sources and databases. They have to, in many contexts, generate data. They have to evaluate others' data, evaluate their own, and then reflect on the whole process they've used to do that. They have to then take data, organise it, manage it in ways that are discipline appropriate. They have to analyse the data once they've organised it to look for the trends, characterisations. They have to do the complex task of putting it all together to make the coherent story that makes sense first to them, and then to others to communicate it and to apply it in ways that are relevant to the research, with it being quite heedful of ethical, cultural and social issues all the way through. So they're the 6 facets that we're talking about that you've got down in your left-hand column. Now in terms of degrees of autonomy, the first 3 levels are, you could say, faculty or educator initiated. So level 1, as I said, the red end, is highly prescribed. The next level along, which is orange, is bounded research. So there's some, where the river flows, there's banks, there's boundaries, and the river can flow anywhere in that. So there's limitations, but far less than the prescribed stuff. Move up a notch, then move into the yellow where there's things scaffolded, like when you have a building, if you use the same scaffolding structure, but you could actually build quite different types of building with the same scaffold, but it's setting up a structure. The students have more independence, but it's all initiated by the educator. Then we move into the level 4 and level 5 are quite different. That's where students initiate. They pose the questions, they determine hypotheses, they determine how to generate data, how to evaluate it, etc. So the move towards fully open-ended is, we found, too big. So level 4, the green level, is that students have choice, but it's actually educator guided. So there's meetings, there's models of what people could do. It's not hands off the wheel stuff. Whereas the next level 5, the blue level, is open scope, where students will drive things, but it's not open slather. It's in accordance with the discipline. It's fitting with the literature. It's fitting with the gaps of the literature or what the students identify that is, so it's disciplined. And the more we're going through the years of university, the more disciplined it should be. Or, in interdisciplinary studies, taking into account all the awkward and interdisciplinary connections that need to be made and what it would look like in that context. So disciplined or context. Now, we also have 2 other levels which we don't talk about much with undergraduates and aren't a focus of today, but I just showed them to you in case you haven't seen those before. That's moving into a realm which is clearly capital R research. The realm where it's creating the discipline by generating new knowledge, new to everyone, not just new to the student. So this is new to the student, typically, but this is moving into the unequivocally capital R, this is research. And level 6, the indigo, is where research is adopted by others. So you have no control of level 6. If your research is genuinely addressing gaps, then others start to use your work, cite your work, your communities of practice adopt your work, your procedures, your knowledge base. Level 7 very high-end violence, is where you are actually changing the field, you're enlarging the field or consolidating the field or changing the shape of the field. People are talking differently about the field because of your contribution, so quite high-end stuff. So they're the degrees of autonomy. We brought in level 6 and level 7 to bring in the research-focused academics who could see everyone on the same continuum, from high-flying professor and teams who are giving high-level ARC funding, etc., to wherever an undergraduate student may be on this. Everyone's on the same page. And when we're talking about collaborations in an Ergo conference, if everyone's on the same page and can share a similar language, even though we may be at different positions, then it gives a much more sensible conversation and the potential for collegial interaction. Even if we argue, the argument's good. This won't stop arguments. In fact, it might actually facilitate argumentation, but in a way that people actually understand what the others are talking about.